Hey, buenos dias. Pastor Junior here, and so I'm reading John chapter. Que estoy leyendo John chapter 20, right? I'm reading John chapter 20. ¿Y qué dice? Well, it says this. John chapter 20, right? John chapter 20, verse 24. I read through John chapter 20, verse 24 to 27, right? And I'm piggybacking on on hermano Evangelist Richard. He put something out there on John chapter 20 and about Thomas, right? But let's read, right? So John chapter 20, verses 24 to 27. ¿Y qué dice? Well, it says this. It says now Thomas, right? It says now Thomas, called the twin, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came, right? And it says now, right? John chapter 20, verses 24. It says now Thomas, called the twin, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came, right? And now Thomas, called the twin. Thomas is called the twin because in Aramaic, Thomas means twin, right? But in verse 25 says, the other disciples therefore said to him, we have seen the Lord. So he said to them, unless I see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the nails, put my finger into the print of the nails, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe, right? So this is Thomas, right? The twin. Once again, and then verse 26 says, after 8 days, his disciples were again inside, and Thomas with them. Jesus came through the doors being shut, and stood in the midst of them and said, peace to you, right? That's out of my New King James. But the ¿cómo se dice? The King James dice que it says peace be unto you, right? And then verse 27 says, then he said to Thomas, reach your finger here and look at my hands, and reach your hand here, put it into my side. Do not be unbelieving but believing, because do not be unbelieving but believing, right? That was one of the exhortations that Evangelist Richard gave. He put a post on Instagram, and yeah, it's true, right? do not be unbelieving but believing, because right now, I mean, you might be still fighting a case this morning. You might be in surgery, right? Your loved one might be going through a surgery right now, and here it is that the Lord says be to you, peace be to you, or as the New King James le pone, peace be unto you, or as the New King James puts it, peace be unto you, right? After 8 days, his disciples were again, and Thomas with them. Jesus came through the doors being shut, and stood in the midst and said, peace be with you. So that's the word today. The Lord says, peace be unto you, right? Because Jesus, right? What did we learn there? Well, we learned that Jesus comes to people in their midst of doubt, of fear, and confusion, and says, peace be unto you, right? Once again, verse 26 of John chapter 20, que dice, it says, after 8 days, his disciples were again inside, and Thomas with them. Jesus came through the doors being shut, and stood in the midst of them and said, peace be unto you. Peace be unto you. Once again, Jesus comes to people in the midst of their doubt, of fear, and confusions, and says, peace be unto you. So, right? So you might be in doubt this morning, right? As your loved one's going through surgery, or you might be in doubt, right? You might be still fighting that case, right? You might be going through that divorce. I don't know what your situation is, a health situation también, right? Doubt, of fear, and confusion, right? You might be confused. But the Lord says, ¿qué dice? The Lord says here in John 20:26 says, peace be with you, or peace be unto you, como dice King James, right? So, do not be unbelieving, but believing. Once again, after 8 days, his disciples were again inside, and Thomas being with them. Jesus came through the doors being shut. Why does Jesus come through the doors being shut? Because Jesus comes to people in the midst of their doubt, in the midst of their fear, in the midst of their confusion. ¿Y qué les dice? He says, peace be unto you. What does that mean? That means that God's got you. What does that mean? That means that God has got you. He's got our tomorrows, even though we haven't been there yet. But here's the word of exhortation. Peace be unto you. Right? So the word of exhortation is this. It says, confidence in God's presence is our basic weapon against fear, doubt, and confusion. Right? Here we are again. Peace be unto you. Peace be unto you. Right? John 20:26. Right? Here's the word of exhortation. Confidence in God's presence is our weapon, is our basic weapon against fear, doubt, and confusion. Right? Once again, peace. God's presence, right? It's confidence in God's presence is our basic weapon against fear, doubt, and confusion. So if you're looking at, if you're going through doubt, if you're confused and you're doubting, God says, peace be unto you. Once again, confidence in God's presence. May that bring you comfort and peace in your situation today. Orale, God bless you.